Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft II tournament. We've got an interesting week, and what better way to start off this week's broadcast than with a glamorous PvP between two Protoss which have been working very hard indeed. We got as the orange one at the red, the right lower corner, we've got Mcgrave, and at the other end we've got Purple Wave. Purple Wave by Iron Fist Jadian and Mcgrave by Mr. Mcgrave himself. So although an interesting name, purportedly being Reaver related, it is the name of the author, and Mcgrave starting out with a small bit of Zealot harassment. What will we have at this end of the map to try and stop that? We've got one goon already, and that goon will have to micro a fair bit to keep up with that. But as there are no more Zealots on the way for quite some time, I think perhaps it may do okay. The question is how much damage will be done to the probe line, and we now have got 2 goons, but the probe numbers are falling, and as you can see, about 5 have been killed compared to those of Mcgrave, and by now the goons have got everything well under control. The stream of Zealots has been drying up for quite some time, and with the second gateway and the probe numbers still sort of okay-ish, I think the goons can hold for the moment. The question then will be what will be behind this beautiful opening. And on the part of Mcgrave, it's one more gateway and a core spinning already, and perhaps the probe damage will be in Mcgrave's favour. Mcgrave still one worker up, a little bit of a supply lead, but now the goons will be able to out-micro quite a bit of Zealots. And the question is, will Mcgrave suffer too many losses before this goon train, one will lag behind, reaches the enemy base, but now with some goons of its own. Oh, and one gets split off and killed, so it seems to be snowballing in Mcgrave's favour, slowing down to normal speed, because we've got quite a bit of a goon advantage for Purple Wave, and as Mcgrave's units are running not fighting, some losses will be incurred. Oh, and this Zealot seems to be done for. No, it gets away just in time. Expansion for Mcgrave, that's very brave in the circumstances, with the goon advantage increasing for Purple Wave, and also the goons engaging your forces while they are running. That's not good, and it seems like Purple Wave is just going to continue the pressure. No expansion for the meanwhile. Mcgrave with a slight advantage, but that's all in workers, and especially with the goon advantage. Now some more goons of Mcgrave's arriving. Purple Wave with the goons in the back, but they are not really catching up, and now it's a goon versus goon battle. Anyone can take this at this moment, and it will all come down to micro. And it seems like Mcgrave's got the better micro, and it's now 5 versus 5 goons, couple of Zealots coming up to help and support these goons of Mcgrave's, and it seems that Mcgrave has got this because the expansion is up, the armies are balanced, and Mcgrave comes out 10 supply up. That's very well done. Early pressure resulting in a small worker advantage, and going up to the hill, driving it in a tense gateway units battle. Very, very tight victory seems to be coming on. Or is it that Purple Wave can do something with the Reavers? The Reavers against gateway units are very powerful, but I think it will have to do something pretty quickly because the expansion of Mcgrave's is up and running. The worker advantage is 50%. And supply-wise, it gets worse and worse for Purple Wave. Now, Purple Wave with the expansion of its own, but there are so few units here, and the units that are there are not really fighting in tandem. These units at the back should be moving forward, while these ones should be moving backward to create a unified front. But it seems like Mcgrave's got the better micro, and now the better economy. Also going for Reaver tech, it looks like. And will we have some Reavers of Purple Wave soon? I don't think so. This expansion will be stamped into the ground pretty quickly if Purple Wave doesn't pull off some kind of miracle. No miracle with Scarabs is about to arrive. Let me tune this down just a tiny little bit. Is it audible at all? Yes, it should be audible. And now the gateway army of Mcgrave's is storming the front and now in the probe lines once more. And as you can see, this game's well and over. So, miraculous Reaver comeback, it doesn't look like it. Army supply of Purple Wave is 2, now 0, and all the probes are going down and all. So we're going to give this victory, third place being taken, to Mcgrave. Very well done, and Mcgrave seems to be, for the moment, one of the better top Protosses, new top Protosses in the game. So, game just ended, and let's hop into the next game, which is a game between two relatively new bots. Hannes Bredberg has been on the server for a couple of weeks. Let me speed it up just this instant. The other bot is a new bot as well. It's called Pinl, and I don't know where the name stands for. It's bound to be something interesting. And the commentary on our server is that it is a bot from scratch, and that it makes zealots and goons. So probably that's what we are going to see. The question is, how will the micro be, the scouting? And it seems like scouting is okay, because first scouting probe gets in relatively completely unharmed. These Marines of Bredbergs are not really interested in killing a probe, it seems, and the probe moves back out, having established the enemy is Terran and is building some kind of marine composition. At the Protoss end of the map, it's quite early call before any combat units, and a gateway and another pylon. So first goon coming out, and let's see, we've now got a couple of Marines chasing a goon, and no actual combat taking place. This Marine doesn't want to fight, this goon doesn't want to fight, and that's well, something you do encounter. Oh, and now the goon gets caught and takes a lot of fire. It releases a couple of explosive photon balls at the Marines, but as you can see, Marines don't take nearly as much damage from goons as goons take from Marines. So the first goon falls, and I think that's a victory for Hannes Bredberg. And again, as you can see, this is like the eyes on a dice cube. It's all about scanning, and if they find an enemy, apparently they will surround it and try to kill it. Meanwhile, we've got oh dear, we've got some tech coming up. We had some gas harvested, and I think this is going to be upgrades for Marines. I didn't see any medics on the side of Pinl Bredberg yet. And as you can see, its marine micro has improved, because earlier it was all about scanning, just scanning the map, and only if it saw an enemy in active vision, all the Marines would chase that. Or perhaps it's still doing that. So now the goon is out of sight, they all disperse and move off in different directions. It's happening all across the map. Every third of a second they get a new movement order, and once a goon is sighted, all Marines will move in the same direction. So that's almost an ant-like scanning or scouting behavior, and Pinl seems to have his hand full. It's got one zealot in the rear, but now the chances are bigger that these Marines will find the buildings, and once they've found the buildings they will move out to try and kill them. Of course, quite a few Protoss units at this end of things, so yep, you need quite a bit of Marines to stop that. The zealots unfortunately are not fighting for Pinl. Now they come off to help stave off this zealot, this Marine incursion. And upgrades coming for Hannes Bredberg. No expansion, that might be tipping the balance in this game, because although a lone goon by itself isn't very strong, a Protoss army will quickly chew through a small band of Marines, especially if the Marines are only running. And now it seems the Protoss death train is heading towards the Terran base, and an expansion taken. So that's good for Pinl, that is also already expanding. But its gas count is quite high and mineral count is quite low, so perhaps it might be benefiting from that expansion. Barracks coming up for Bredberg, and Marines are having a hard time pulling together. Might do better with a couple of medics and stim. Of course, the what's it called? The academy is there already, so a lot of potential for Bredberg, but needs some tweaks still. I like the scouting algorithm, but it seems like these goons and the occasional zealot for Pinl are quite deadly, and the naturals up and running. No more tech appears to be coming, and doing it only of 2 gateways, lots of money in the bag. Oh, that's another gateway. 3-4 gateways now, and the Terran base looks like this. So Pinl, welcome to the show, and may you prosper. So then again I thought, well, what the hell, let's have Pinl again and see how it does versus TSMU Zerg. Of course, any excuse is a good one to get TSMU into a broadcast, because TSMU is always doing all kinds of ridiculous builds, and it's a pleasure to behold. The question is, will TSMU get back to developing his bots or updating them, because they are so very strong but haven't really received an update, although his Protoss was updated a couple of weeks ago, which now is pretty strong against Terran. Perhaps more on that later, if I find the time to do that. And as you can see, Pinl's units are just being ferried into the choke, And TSMU's got a lot of Zerglings on its hand all the time. So we've got Zerglings here, Zerglings there, Zerglings everywhere, and a drone doing I don't know what. Meanwhile, the goons do pretty well. The Zerglings don't really dare attack because there are so many, which gives Pinl a slight edge for the time being. TSMU's third is up, but as you can see, the army supply is huge in the favor of Pinl. And if TSMU refuses to fight, now evacuating the drones, and no tech for TSMU either. So I don't really know what the TSMU's game plan is. He might just fall to the hands of Mr. Newbot Pinl. And there we go. As you can see, all the Zerglings are keeping a nice distance, but they're not actually fighting, and the drones are having to do most of that. That's not how it's intended to be. 3 Zerglings try and do their best. Now the Lings come off the line, and the Zealots try to the goons try to outmicro them. And as you can see, the Zerglings are doing quite well, and this attack gets thwarted. Now, of course, the new natural, the actual third of TSMU, is sort of up. Drone numbers are still quite okay, and if the Zerglings for a chance start to fight actually and not just make nice concaves, TSMU can still be in a pretty good position. The drone transfer isn't really coming off because there are a lot of goons, or a handful of goons, which now get cut down by the Zerglings. And the Zerglings seem to have found their grid, of course. They do a lot of running back and forth still, I don't know why. And perhaps TSMU would benefit from a base that's a little bit farther off, but the third is up and running now. An extra hatchery, it's got a lair, so perhaps with lurkers there might be something good coming on. And now it will just be a tight battle for the main between the Zerglings and the drones and the goons. Natural is up and running for Pinl. Pinl doing a lot of damage to the buildings of TSMU, and as you can see, TSMU doesn't really get any units together because the Zerglings refuse to fight. They could do a lot of damage to these goons, but they don't, and so a lot of damage is done to the drones of TSMU. Main hatchery is going down. You can mine a little bit of, from here, but not really working at this moment. And these Lings here have been cornered. Pinl being quite ruthless, just going after every unit, every overlord, oh, and even every lava. So the main gets neutralized, and now the third is up for grabs too. The question is, where are all these Zealots going? Because we've got the main army of Protoss here. Some units are trying to get in, some are trying to get out, and some are just mulling about here. TSMU, meanwhile, trying to rebuild its base, but it's got a lot of drones. And the main army of Protoss seems to have stopped scouting and congregates in what was once the main TSMU. TSMU thankfully expanding. Pinl, of course, expanded again, and it's just all Zealots and goons, and all congregating here. And I don't think that you should give TSMU a chance like that to get back into the game. Of course, only 10 workers at the moment, and 3 bases. Tech limited to a spawning pool, which is okay as TSMU isn't attacking anyway. Oh, and now these drones, these probes get killed by a handful of Zerglings, and the main army of Pinl has some issues. So that's not good. Of course, as can be seen here, these Zerglings have got some issues as well. Now they have found the Nexus and tear it down, so that's that base. Pinl, having taken another base, isn't impressed too much, and TSMU with a huge concave of Zerglings in the middle of the map. Oh, I should slow this down just a little bit. If you look at the minimap, we've got a small group of Zerglings which is occasionally running to somewhere and try to kill something, and occasionally just running about. Very nice. And TSMU not really doing anything but making a lot of Zerglings at this point. They could be assumed to have speed because he's got the money, and TSMU is always operating very nicely. Pinl, of course, is nearly maxed. Got one goon trapped here, one probe mulling about or sitting there. TSMU going for more and more Zerglings. Army supply-wise, Pinl is a little bit ahead. Still about 3 or 4 times the supply of TSMU. TSMU is going to do this all 3 base Zergling. I don't really know what the plan is. We'll go and have to find out. So lots of Zerglings being added. These Zerglings here have stalled. Oh, now the Zerglings get some ideas. And this is just 76 supply worth of Zerglings, so there may be about 150. And now they're into the main, and the third got raised. Oh, sorry, I missed that. The natural got messed up, and this goon is having the day of its life, but only until this couple of buildings fall. Then all the probes get cut down. Now the army of Pinl has found the Zerglings, and there are just so many Zerglings, still 150. TSMU not taking any more bases for the time being. Not even mining gas, just doing this on pure 3 base. Oh good or bad. This goon has been caught. A couple of more goons by Pinl, because look at that bank, it's just insane. And TSMU just doing crazy things. They're losing a lot of lings at the cauldron, which was once its natural. But these lings, I can't really get over it. TSMU is so crazy, but losing so many lings, and I still think that Pinl, at the end of things, might still carry this victory. TSMU refusing to take another base, refusing to build tech. Army supply wise, Pinl is dropping a little bit because it's not really making any more units for some reason. And there are lings in the main base of Pinl. Some more are coming over, and this is just the hugest concave with Zerglings, keeping this main army trapped. Or at least would be if this main army wasn't sitting by itself, mulling about here from its own motivation. And these Zerglings chew through that base so very quickly. TSMU now with 180, almost 190 Zerglings on the map, although a lot of them get killed here by these goons. The Zergling numbers keep increasing, and we've almost got 200 Zerglings on the map. Look at this, it's just a bloody mess of Zerglings. If ever there was an argument about what to call a group of Zerglings, I think TSMU demonstrate that if you do it enough, you can call it a bloody mess. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, so many get killed, but meanwhile the main base of Protoss is being chewed down by these Zerglings, and the army supply of Pinl is still 120, but occasionally, although the Zealots really massacre all these lings, and these lings don't seem to be attacking at all, by now the entire Protoss base has been demolished, and TSMU takes it over Pinl. Okay, well that's something to work on, Pinl, but of course, if you are coding BroodWai, you are never finished. Next game, new bot. It's Eric Hammer by a coder called Dark Eric, and Dark Eric is based on Steam Hammer. The name gives it away somewhat, and I got a huge list of things which should be better in Eric Hammer than in Steam Hammer, but he said, well, most of them you can't really see. Perhaps you could see the surround logic of the Zerglings, but we'll go and have to find out. I pitted it against Meta Isik because it is a pretty good Terran bot, but it also leaves the opponent lots of room to maneuver, being from 2013, almost 4 years old now. So it's not really as aggressive and macro heavy as these newer bots tend to be, and of course Steam Hammer, which itself is a very, very good expansion of the University of Alberta bot by Dave Churchill, has also sprouted a lot of people using Steam Hammer as the basis for their new bot. Eric Hammer coming to visit with a couple of Zerglings, but of course against this lot of Marines they don't really want to get into that. Sunken placement seems to be okay, seems to be very good in this particular game. Would need to analyze a couple of 10-20 games to make sure that's not a coincidence, but if you look at this and the entrance here, the main entrance there, these two Sunkens have been placed perfectly. Tech-wise, got a lair, and this handful of Zerglings just keeping a light contain on this Terran. Meanwhile going for factory, going for some upgrades, all doing that on one base. Of course, meanwhile Zerg could have taken a new base. Oh, that's very expensive, 3 Sunkens, but very well placed. So I think a bio army would have a hard time storming that defense. Now I hope this is going to be a Spire, because otherwise nothing's going to happen ever. And it looks like it, so that will be a 2-base muta play, albeit a little bit slow because we've got 3 Sunkens, and that's very expensive. Only now the extractor is starting, and another Sunken. So 2-base muta behind a lot of Sunkens seems to be the game plan. Mate Isik is gathering up some kind of a push with a couple of Marines, lots of fire bats, a couple of tanks, a couple of vultures. And behind that, it seems to be about to take its natural. So the question is, oh, here are the mutas. How will the mutas fare versus this 1-base Terran push? If the micro of the medics is okay, it should be pretty good. Otherwise, well, let's see. We've got a nice defensive position, handful of mutas. They aren't really as aggressive as could be. Doing an okay job versus the Marines. There are quite a bit of mutas, but the mutas are now getting low as well. So let's not select too much, because that seems to be one of the reasons OpenBW. Hello OpenBW project, nice replay viewing capabilities in HD. All the anti-air seems to have been demolished, but now there are a couple of Marines still, and these Mutas seem to have stalled for some reason. The Sunken's doing quite okay versus the Firebats, but these Mutas should really be out and about and killing things. Meanwhile, more Marines are being ferried in, so the anti-air will increase substantially, and these Mutas should be over here killing the tanks as well, because 3 Sunkens have been killed already, and this one won't hold long versus these tanks. Yep, there it goes. The Mutant numbers are going down, and Eric Hammer will need a little bit of refinement in its build order, I think, to be able to stop this. Meanwhile, that was the Zerg army, only 4 army supply left, natural in tatters, 3rd just finished, but what can you do with the 3rd without drones? And the main is still up, but with 1 Muta to stop this Terran army, that's going to be a hard fight. Natural finally being taken by Terran, and a small division of mech units is trying to kill its own vultures. That's unfortunate, but sometimes it happens. And that was the 3rd. Natural has been retaken because the main is clear, because everyone was fighting the 3rd. And now the Natural's gone again. 2 Mutas versus the Terran army, 0 Mutas, and that's pretty much the game. Question is, will Isik finally find the main Zerg base or not? Moving about, posturing a little bit, increasing in army size, and not really attacking into the main for some reason. There we go. Oh, there it goes, and that's the end of that. Okay, so Eric Hammer, have we got? Oh, we've got 1 more. Let's do 1 more against Icelab. Icelab, perhaps not as aggressive as Isik, but has more staying power, macro heavier, and likes to tech more. So that will be interesting to see. A little bit bigger map, which might be in Eric Hammer's favor as well. Ooh, Sunken in the main, that's pretty expensive because... okay, well, nothing much happening here. A couple of Zerglings keeping tabs on the Terran base. What I was about to explain is that if you go for 2 Sunkens, that's 100 minerals in drones. That's 2 drones, which could have been mining. And that's also 150 minerals for the creep colonies, and then 100 for the upgrade to sunken colonies. So all in all, that's about up front 100 and 100 and 100. It's 350 minerals, and that's not even counting the mining time, and that's quite a lot on an economy of 2 bases. But seems to be working quite well. The Mutas have things sort of under control. Now with the Zerglings, of course, they could be fighting in tandem with the Zerglings, but for now Terran has been contained to its 2 bases, while Zerg can take the map. The 3rd is up and running now, and more tech is coming. Ooh, that's a very quick hive, that's nice. Might macro a little bit more. These 2, 3, and as you can see, if Icelab detects any kind of air presence, particularly a Mutalisk, because the big enemy of Icelab's was the Berkeley Overmind, it just goes full anti-air and hopes to win the game with that. The big problem is that if the enemy switches back to some kind of a land army, which it isn't doing at the moment, Icelab's in a bit of a problem, although this mech army is pretty strong against anti-air and all. Now 2 Valkyries, lots of Goliaths, going to take the 3rd, I think. Yep, there we go. And Zerg is really running out of time. Should take more bases, build more units. Worker-wise, it's very, very low. Only 24 now, building more drones. Having got the hive. And the question is, what can it do now to stop the Terran war machine? Because on 3 bases and with this amount of anti-air, with Mutas you can't really do much. And that's the old fallacy which all Zerg players suffer, that they want to win battles with Mutas, and that's something you don't really do. Only if you cripple the enemy enough in harassing them with Mutas, you can sometimes kill them with Mutas, but generally speaking, Mutas are too weak to kill the enemy up front, and especially if you've got a defensive position like that with about 3 or 4 Valkyries and about 15 Goliaths. That's just not going to work, especially not with the turrets and all. Now, we have got a couple of Hydras, and we've got another Evo Bay, but where are all the workers in the main? Hello. Where are they? Fourth finally being taken. Could have been done a lot earlier because Isbot has started its fourth already. The only thing keeping Eric Hammer into the game is that Isbot is not really moving out at this point. Oh, and now it's had enough. I think, no, it moves back to base again, which gives Eric Hammer the chance to build more units. It must be a little bit more aggressive, I think, to be able to deal with Terran better, or just harass, because as the main army is contained here, this base is up for grabs, that base is up for grabs, and if you count those two out of the game, you've got a main running low and a 4 versus 2 base situation. But then again, you've got to be on the bounce with your contain and make decisions according to that. Now, we've got a small drop of Terran units, but of course we've got the sunken, couple of drones will fall, this Hydra thinks, well, that's not. That's a bit of a pity. One more Hydra coming. Some skirmishes, but look at the anti-air damage of the Valkyries. I really would have liked to play Wagner at that. It's... oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. These muters, that was from one volley. One volley and all the muters got half damage. Ooh, and that's going to be so very close. Another drop, and it looks like Eric Hammer isn't really on point with the defense. So many drones are dying. As you can see, worker-wise, Islab is 81 versus 23, 22, and this army is really sitting in the face of death. Islab's, its supply is going to skyrocket with all the production it's got. And although Eric Hammer has got this base up, all the drones here are pretty much dead. The drone levels are 22 of 4 bases and about 30 minutes into the game. That's just not going to stop ICE, I think. But I think the main question is, when will ICE start to move out? Because there are so many Goliaths and so much anti-air. Oh, there we go. Oh, and all the Valkyries snuff it. That's a bit of a goo-glue. And now we've got all the Goliaths are trying to inhabit these 2 square centimeters in the middle. I wonder how many there actually are. But Eric Hammer for the time being is happy with that, and although it's going to get dropped once again, or not, 2 Hydras coming, 2 Hydras leaving, that's kind of silly, but sometimes that's how it goes. We've got a new tech building coming up, and in the main we've got another drop in the face of the Sunken. So Sunken will be okay for the time being. A large battle being fought, and then you can see that Goliaths aren't really up to dealing with these... oh dear, we've got the muters again. And the Ice Labs is just not really clear on the concept. We've got 5 Valkyries, 6 Valkyries, a lot of Goliaths, we've even got a science vessel, but all these buildings here in the out zone are going to be killed, and if Ice Labs isn't careful, the third is going to be killed and all, because now it has been spotted by the Zerg main army. Zerg has built an ultra cavern, and one Goliath is killing off a lot of units not being dealt with, another base being taken by Eric Hammer, and this game is devolving into silliness pretty quickly. We've got a Matrix, we had a Matrix Goliath, and this base is still untouched despite the fact that this Zerg army could raise it in about 1 minute. Another base being taken by Ice, and Ice still sitting about here doing nothing with his main army. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, we had a scan, and we've got the first Ultra. So the Ultra gets scanned twice, that's quite an honor. And now the Zerg army is still sitting there, the Terran army is still sitting here, and I really don't understand why neither of them is attacking. Zerg getting one more base off the ground. These expansions of Ice Labs are still unhindered. It's a strange sight to behold, but with a lot of Hydras, which of course do quite well against... oh, look at the Scourge, and the Ultra is mulling about too. Oh, because there has been a drop, and some units have been diverted to help and kill it. Of course, with an Ultra, and the Muters, which are trying to out-macro, should just attack for crying out loud. Okay, so that drop gets cleaned up, not before killing off all the workers again. Oh, and Ice is on the move. Ice is on the move. And I should say Icebot is on the move before you get any jihad tendencies. But Icebot is on the move, and the entire Zerg army cannot stop it, I think. Where are the Ultras? There should be Ultras. 2 Ultras, handful of Hydras, some Muters, and Ice Labs is... well, that's a nice pick-off. A couple of units getting snagged. Ooh, that was... No, and then you get a volley from those, still a lot of Valkyries. 1, 2, 3, 6-ish. And we've got a huge standoff. The Ultras trying to move in, move out, shake it all about. Ice Labs now pulling with the full... Ooh, that was an ugly volley of those Valkyrie missiles. Icebot now really gaining traction, because in a straight up fight these Terran units are so strong and Zerg doesn't seem to be intent on fighting. And that's something which really bots should do more, is just fight, because you've got so many units, and if you are not fighting you're just going to die. You might just as well fight anyway and take some with you. And if you are going to fight, don't do it like this, seems to be the message. Then of course Icebot has been under development for quite a few years by a team of very skilled students in AI. It's no shame to lose to Icebot, but of course, especially if you're a new bot. So Eric Hammond doing pretty well, lots of potential, and as I said before, if you are coding Brute War AI, you are never finished. You really are never finished, because there is always the other guy integrating some new functionality in his bot and doing something more goes. So Icebot by the time now is maxed, 82 workers, 200 supply, a couple of vessels, nice mech army, doing fine. Eric Hammer of 2 bases, trying to rebuild, but then again here comes the mech train. This base gone, that base is about to fall as well. And if I'm not very much mistaken, Icebot already knows about this base here, because it continually scans the map for enemy expansions. Yep, and there it goes. Oh, of course it dropped this base a couple of times, so it should know where it is. And that's the game. Congratulations to Icebot. Now I got sent this game for some reason, and I can understand, I can guess why, because it's TSMU Protoss, which is a ridiculous bot, and it's Garmbot, which is a ridiculous bot in its own right, taking expansion all across the map. And then, as you can see, just moving units into the nearest Terran base. Now TSMU trying to defend with a couple of goons and the zealots, so for the time being seems to be okay, but it's just the constant Zergling pressure and more bases being taken by Garmbot. That is the name of Aurelian Lermont. It's Garmbot. Aurelian is from France, so it's good to have called the bot Garmbot, because it's a lot easier to pronounce than Aurelian Lermont in English. Meanwhile, as you can see, more Zerglings coming in, TSMU's army growing little by little, and TSMU wouldn't be TSMU if it didn't do something ridiculous. In this case, go for, I think it's going to be Shuttled Reaver. 3 bases up meanwhile for Garmbot, and units being trickled in one at a time. The main army of TSMU is trying to sit back in the main for some reason, or trying to guard the ramp while it should be guarding this area, but that's a small detail. Now with the first Reaver, TSMU seems to be quite okay. Of course, the big problem is, if you are fighting Garm, that these units keep harassing you till the cows come home. And natural, the third is not being taken, long distance mining is going on. Oh, there was a zealot in the way, now it moved out of the way. The third of TSMU is a fact, and TSMU has now got scouts and all. And there are a couple of units burrowed here of Garns, which will pop up once they reach a certain level of HP, and hopefully if no Reaver sitting right on top of them. But we'll find out. This one's nearly healed completely, and I think it just thinks, well, that's too dangerous for my taste, so let's not pop out our head. Oh, there it went, and there it got killed all at once. So that's a pity. Garmbot meanwhile taking a 4th base, TSMU heading over with a probe to do a little bit of scouting, and has now got the tech for scouts, 4 Reavers, and these 2 Reavers, they fire 2 Scarabs at each unit there is, so money-wise, although Garm is losing a lot of units, it's not doing too badly, because for every Zergling, those 2 Zerglings cost 50 minerals, got shot at thrice by the, what are they called again, by the Reavers, so 45 minerals lost for TSMU, and of course TSMU isn't really mining from this base for some reason, but is mining here and there, so it's okay. Garm now silently droning up, making a little bit more tech, just sending the odd unit, and we've got a huge mess of stalled TSMU units which don't really do anything. Of course, nice amount of shield batteries Always nice to have, but TSMU doesn't really get to grips with the enemy because it's so intent on stopping all these small incursions. Now the observers move all across the map, TSMU taking a base here, that's pretty ballsy, and one muter and one lurker slowing down this base, i.e. killing a lot of probes. TSMU does defend it, but then again there is an incursion here which takes 4 shots of the Reavers. That's going to be the hard point for today, to remember what a Reaver is called. And that will be that for the time being. Okay, so we've got a Queen without enough energy for a Broodling yet. Let's keep an eye on it because it will have enough energy soon. The Scout chasing Queens and Muters all across the map. This Queen now outrunning the Scout because Scouts are pretty slow, and TSMU finally going for this base, ignoring the Sunken, taking a lot of damage from it. Oh, and that's enough Reavers, so that's 6 Reavers in your base all at once. Disregarding the expansion, just going for the units, but if you look at the minimap, it's just one huge confusion of Scouts, shuttles with Reavers, Muters and Zerglings running about, and Overlord getting killed. Units, oh, that's Broodlings, and that's quite a lot of Reavers. That's 8 Reavers and 4 shuttles. That's quite a lot of stopping power. These Hydras don't really stand a chance. So army supply wise, TSMU is doing pretty well compared to GARM, but GARM is just all over this, and it is harassing beautifully. But slowly but surely, oh, look at that, that base has been shut down by one Muter. This base isn't really up and running. The natural has been repopulated, the main is going well for TSMU, but these shuttles with the Reavers are spending 100 money minerals per volley to kill one drone, and these Scouts, the most effective versus ground damage units, are trying to kill the naturals, or the expansion, which will happen eventually, just takes a while. Meanwhile, TSMU has found another base, and the question is, oh, this one Scout is doing a hard-pitched battle against these Muters. Nice bit of micro going on, but TSMU has got fighting power now with the Dark Templars. I got some kind of aphasia coming up because I can't really, in my excitement, remember what all these units are called. This base has finally fallen to 2 Dark Templars and a couple of Zealots. TSMU seems to be gaining traction, army-wise almost 10 times as much. The question is, how am I going to cast this? Because we've got a band of Scouts here, we've got 4 or 5 shuttles with Reavers there, and we've got Dark Templars all over the map. Some Zerglings just ran in the base. That's outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous, and it can only be a guessing game of how this game is going to end. Now the Scouts have caught this poor Muter, and it's going to go down. Now they go back to harassing things again. And let's keep an eye on these Dark Templars. We've got a Queen, and does the Queen see the Dark Templar? Perhaps it sees it, but can't really target them. These 2 observers have found the base here. And here comes the Death Drain, but the Death Drain is only dealing death to units and not to buildings, so that's going to take forever, and it's just going to... Oh, hello! I saw that. We've got a Muter Court, and we've got a Dark Archon per consequence somewhere. Perhaps it's in one of these shuttles. Here's the Muter, and... no, the Queen is still belongs to... Oh, this one Zerglin is really doing the numbers, and the entire war train coming off to help and fight it, but to no avail for the time being. We've got the Protoss Mutalisk, and TSMU is just using it like a scout, it seems. It's so interesting to see that it's even got code for captured Muters, because normally if you capture a unit which does not belong to your race, you need to have some kind of specific code to deal with that. So either TSMU's code is proficient enough to deal with that, or he has written specific code to what to do if you catch a Muter. And this Muter is happily flying around, harassing, taking a kill here and there, and now the Death Train is advancing upon nowhere in particular. We've got an how fast was that? We've now got a captured queen, and I didn't even see the Dark Archon popping out. It was dropped from the... what's it doing? Oh, perhaps it's trying to harass, but it can't really attack. Surely TSMU couldn't have made code to decide what to do if you capture a queen. Not really. Couldn't. Possibly. Please. Oh, I'm just going to keep an eye on it just in case. Because it's almost got enough energy for brooding, I think, if it hasn't got so already. It's just waiting for the right prey. And I'm going to pause the game. TSMU has the map, but still lings are moving in and out all about. The shuttles are here. Are there more units caught? Doesn't look like it. That queen's still blue. And oh dear, where is it? Oh, here it is. So here's the queen, and it seems to have stalled. So for the time being, nothing really happening. A couple of Dark Templars killing... Oh damn, it did broodling. Because we've got a Protoss broodling, and it's almost run out of energy. Oh dear, we've got... something got broodling. I think it was that lurker. So TSMU doing something ridiculous once again. This game is about to end, I hope, because... yeah, well, Garm's nearly dead too. TSMU too ridiculous, 200 supply. I'm just going to end the game because there is more I need to show you. And the more I need to show you... Oh, I wanted to show one more game of Garmbot. I picked that one, and full declaration of information. I know how this game is going to end. I just picked it to demonstrate how hard it is to actually kill a player like Garm. And Garm is doing its thing, taking the main here, taking an expansion there, Protoss sitting back and making 3. It seems to have decided that this is the main entrance, not here. And Garm is coming in again. So this is the same position that TSMU was in, the same base, on the same map, so that's okay. And now Garm has taken 3 bases, and as you can see, it's always skipping. It seems to be skipping a base to get a maximum dispersion of attack vectors. Siri is a good Protoss, hasn't been updated in a while, but very strong. And as you can see, every time these zealots move out, they get drawn back because some kind of Zergling thing is going on, and now they have to come back to kill the Hydras, which they do, losing nearly no hit points, only a little bit of shields. Now the zealots are moving out, and Garm sitting happily back on 2 base, but as you can see, every time a Zergling pops into view, these zealots will have to be pulled back. I doubt they will ever arrive anywhere, or perhaps now they have I think they found the main. Oh, and now Garm has taken a base here, so skipped one again, and the Protoss army is trying to take the main, but every time it is entering the main, some unit pops up here. Oh, it gets shut down by the Reaver, so now the main is gone. We've got a couple of neuters, but with the goons I don't think they're going to last long. And the main is now gone, and it's a diaspora game of Garmbot now. 3 bases up, no technology, couple of workers trying to take, I think, a pool, but hasn't got the money. Oh, opting for a lair, so it must have a pool somewhere. Where is the pool, or was the pool still operational? I don't know. So now Siri is sitting in the main of Garmbot, now moving all across the map, and if you look at the minimap, it's trying to occupy the main, but every time something happens, the army flows back to another position. And Garmbot has taken all these bases, with one in between. Now it's taken this base, and the entire Protoss army is now back to stop this one muter harass, which of course is ridiculous because they can't really reach it. By now Garm is also attacking here. So, main army there, a couple of queens, 1 muter, and these muters have been caught here, creating an effective diversion because the entire Protoss army is sitting back here. Oh, look at that. That's the last base, and of course the last base is occupied by a lot of Zerglings, so lots and lots of probes are going down. Siri had about 50 or 60, now only 31 remain, of course. Reaver shut down Zerglings pretty hard, working pretty well, but units are coming in from here, they're coming in from there, from here, everywhere, and by now Garmbot has even found the time to build a greater spire. So that's all interesting. Siri by now is mining out its, what's it called, its natural. There is a Guardian here, killing things. The Guardian there just got killed. And Thomas Siri has got one base, a couple of Guardians. As you can see, Garmbot has a predilection for killing anti-air units, because if you kill all the anti-air, the Guardians will be in a position where they can do unlimited damage. All the goons have been killed. We've got 5 left. Let's keep an eye on that, because I think they will be targeted first by Queens or Mutas or Guardians. And if they get killed, this army, oh, there are more goons here. That's pretty good for Thomas Siri. Thomas Siri still... oh no, that's not a base. Thomas Siri has got a bit of a bank, is still maxed. But because it's being contained so hard by Garm, it can't really move out. And as you can see, the goon numbers are falling. We've got 3 here. The lower army had some more. But as they're on the outskirts of the army, they are dying pretty well. No, that's Guardian lost for no reason. And these goons move out, try and move onto this base, which they take by storm. Pretty well done. But that's only one base for Garm, and Garm has got so many bases. Meanwhile, while the main army is killing off this base of Garm's, this couple of buildings are being killed, and when you've got a Guardian in there, you can't really outrange it with goons, because it will just move back over this territory. And 2 more Guardians. The Guardian seems to have found the weak spot. This base is about to be raised by Thomas Siri as well, but the supply is not maxed anymore, and no more money coming in, because the natural's out. It's got no more bases, no long distance mining going on. And let's just keep an eye on the supply of Thomas Siri. It's 183 now. Of course, its army is still very, very strong, but I don't think it's got money for scarabs anymore. And then you've got 20 supply worth of very slow, expensive units. Another base going down. 1 unit got killed. That's not too bad a score. Another unit got killed. Perhaps it's the Queens. And the Guardians here seems to have been killed as well. As you can see, no Reaver is firing ever. And Garmbot still on 70 supply. Supply of Thomas Siri is falling slowly but surely. And every time a unit dies, it can't really be replaced. By now, there are no more... oh, there are a couple of Dragoons here, but this army hasn't got any Dragoons. It's basically at the mercy of this Queens or any other air unit which would be popping along to have a bite. Garmbot meanwhile seems to have found a way to sneak back here to take this base again. And although this base might be killed, we've got 2 air units, and of course, although they are pretty slow and Zealots have got a lot of health and there are a lot of Zealots, they can kill Zealots for ages. And the goons are still at the natural. So now we've got 1 Guardian, we'll soon have 2 if it's not going to be a Devourer. And a couple of Queens, and the Protoss army is just suffering horribly. Slow attrition, killing another base, but Garm is taking 1 more. This base is up and running again, and that's the beauty of Garmbot. These Reavers are absolutely useless without Scarabs, and the supply has fallen from 180 to 101, and now is going to dip below 100 soon. 1 Goon is coming up, but it's, I think, one of the last ones. And this base is still operational because... oh, this one... surely not. This 1 Broodling is licking this... oh, that's a glorious defeat. Is licking that Reaver to death. Now the Reaver train is heading back to home, and Garm... the main wasn't killed, of course, it's mined out, so it's not too bad, but more bases have been taken. The Observer scouts that one, that base is operational once more, and we've got 3 Guardians, no more anti-air, and a lot of Queens. So this Zealot group is in for a hard party. It's basically going to get killed. It can take out that Hydra, it can take out this base again, which they'll do, but with more Guardians coming up and the Queens chasing them, their numbers are going to fall. 50 army supply for Thomas Siri, 48. And although all the ground units of Garmbots are still falling like fleas, these 2 Guardians are doing a lot of damage, and there is nothing to stop them. So that's very cruel, is it? Yeah, it's very cruel. Okay, 1 more Guardian here. Speeding it up just a notch. The Hydras get killed once again. But the army supply is falling. Thomas Siri at 4 army supply now. Where are they? I don't know. Might be a Reaver somewhere out in the middle of the map. What's that? An Observer. Might be 2 Observers, 4 Observers. And that's the game. So that's why you need to keep tabs on the enemy all the time. and I got sent this game by Mickey, the author of Mcgrave, and of course he's biased, so I think it will be a victory against Ironbot, but let's see, because Ironbot has been on top for so long, it's bound to fall sometime, you should say. And Mcgrave is one of these bots which have been improved upon so much that it might be a contender for one of the top spaces on the ladder. And now going for the wall. The wall is okay. There is one marine and damage is being done. Zerglings, it seems, are... Oh, that marine should just stand here and fire, but it's not. It seems like a vulture is coming, so once the vulture is there, surely the link should move out or die. That's also possible. No base taken yet by Mcgrave. And Mcgrave going for a 2-base high replay. That's unconventional, to say the least. And by now these vultures have found the natural which they are going to pillage, but the lings have got things well under control, and oh dear. It's nice to have a wall off with a barracks which you can lift, but if you don't, you are going to build a bunker there, and now I can see why Mcgrave sent me this replay, or Mickey, because Ironbot just locked itself in. It's got no more units out on the map, and Mcgrave will have free reign for a long time, at least until air units will be built, and Ironbot gets very frustrated by sitting back in its base. As we can see, a late third by Zerg, some units here, units there, siege tanks on the high ground. You never got in. You're never going to get in here, but then again, Terran is never going to get out unless it kills one of these buildings, which it doesn't do. Only Icebot does that. It builds a depot at the choke to make it smaller to prevent run-bys, and then kills the depots later in the game. And by now it's just one huge wiggling mess of vultures. Unfortunately for Iron, vultures can't really fly, and Mcgrave is surely but slowly taking the map, teching up, building more hatcheries. What a massive hatchery. This is no tech. Oh, an ultra cavern. Very well done. The question is then, where is the hive? Is it here? Oh, the hive at the third. Impressive. And Ironbot is nearly maxed, caught behind its own wall. So, maxed of one base, and Zerg isn't really getting in there. Zerg army is growing, surely slowly, but growing. Couple of ultras, couple of hydras, lots of units being killed by this tank here, and this can only end in a standoff, because unless we get a lot of guardians or something, or this Zerg army decides, well, we've got the map. Look at this plasma fusion of Terran units entering this part of the map. That's really... Oh, the vultures have been pushed down the wall as well. They're now getting killed. This poor SUV is in an impossible position. Zerg is trying to go for it. Terran has been let out of the box, finally, and now slowing down, because its Mcgrave isn't nearly maxed. Iron is, and Iron should really be building a new base here, because it's starved for money. Zerg is moving out, but the only damage being dealt to the Terran units is... well, a couple of vultures here and there. The Hydra's not doing anything, just running. That's outrageous. So the only damage being done to Terran is friendly fire at the time. I am falling in supply because Zerg can replenish and Terran cannot, because no long distance mining going on and no base being built by Terran. So Zerg pressing on, finally attacking, and although Iron did this to itself, I think that it's a nice game for Mcgrave. So Mickey, thank you very much for sending me this replay. If you do happen to come across a good game, do send me the replay or the link to the OpenBW project. You can find my address on the website, where you can... Oh, let's slap in the next game while we're at it. And this purportedly also is a ludicrous game, so I can talk about the brutal AI scene in general a little bit. If you do visit our website, you can watch these bots play 24/7. We've got about 50-60 bots active on the server, with a lot of them deactivated, so the scene is still growing. And I unfortunately didn't get any news from the course at the Delft University in Holland, where almost 200 people are working on brutal AI at the moment. with a new AI instruction set called Goal. Perhaps I'll just have to go and visit that myself, because Delft is about 50 kilometers from here. Should do an interview or something like that. It must be interesting to see so many people working on something which is so ultimately beautiful, like bwapi. Of course, if you go and visit our website, you can learn to play against these bots or to code yourself, but by now you already know that. That's a bit of a mantra. And it's good to see academia getting involved more in AI, in bwapi, because it's such a beautiful platform for AI. What's the Stone is the Stone of course is the SUV Russia. Because it's a hard task for an AI. The tools are growing because we've got terrain analysis, we've got pathing assistance, we've got all kinds of bots you can use which have been pretty well documented, like University of Alberta, Oprimabot, and now Steamhammer. And you can start that to implement your own AI solutions. And what I wanted to show you in this game, I think I got sent, no, I didn't want to show anything, I got sent by someone, is that it's very hard to kill a bot which only does SCVs, because by now Random Hammer has got 66 army supply versus 0 of stone. It would be enough to just place one zealot here and this base would be shut down, but it's now going to be a 2 command center SCV flood and an almost 100 supply gateway army of 2 bases. Can't really stop it because it isn't really getting its priorities right. It's just building units, chasing SCVs all across the map, not attacking the building. We are going to touch 100 supply soon, I think, I hope. Yep, there we go. And only now is the main base killed. So hard can it be to kill the base. And one more game. It's going to be TSMU Protoss versus Martin Royakers. I like TSMU Protoss, I like Martin Royakers. Martin is still working hard on his master thesis in bwapi, after which he said he would integrate all his research into his bot, which he hasn't had the time for. Oh damn, my monitor is kicking. No. Oh, it's not broken, it's just a loose connector. Sorry, in my excitement, I kicked my desk and my monitor went black, which would be a big problem because I only have one monitor and I can't really shut down the broadcast, so the broadcast would run until my hard disk drive were full, or I could shut down the computer and corrupt the recording, which is a mess because I don't really have as much time as I used to make these weekly casts. But Martin will be working hard on his thesis and get back to integrating all what he found in his AI called Lebot. Lebot, of course, isn't really as Wraith dependent as it once was, and TSMU is going for it with 2, oh that's a lot of damage, 2 Reavers in 1 shuttle. The main army is being locked down here by 1 scout, and these 2 Reavers shut down the entire main. They don't target buildings. All buildings which are damaged at the moment have been collateral damage. TSMU never was one for surgical strikes, just drop damage on the enemy and see it falter. We've got 1 scout here, scout there. Its movement is quite erratic, but Martin Royakers has been confined to base for quite some time. And now we've got a shuttle with Reavers coming in again, and it's being chased off by this blob of bio. So for now, Lebot contained, TSMU dealing, oh there it goes again, oh we've got 2 shuttles, and although this is 4 times the speed, you can see how fast, if you don't pay attention, 4 Reavers can depopulate a base inhabited by SCVs and Marines and Medics, and Firebats. So these tanks with a couple of Marines have taken up a good defensive position, but by now the natural is going to be attacked, and the main is going to be attacked again, if I'm not very much mistaken. TSMU meanwhile has gotten its 4th base up and running, and there we go, a small sortie from Lebot, but with all the firepower in these goons and with the scouts, this shuttle, no anti-air, so it just moves out happily to and fro. The Terran push has arrived here, but without support, these couple of zealots and scouts shut it down pretty handily, and only minor damage is dealt. Only 1 cannon has fallen. Now Lebot is trying to recuperate once more, but supply-wise it's not doing too well, and still more Reavers are being ferried in. quite a couple have been lost by tank fire, but by now the Zealots and Scouts are there too. The natural looks like this, the main looks like that, and TSMU, please do another update of your bot again, because it's so very beautiful, and all the ridiculous things you implement seems to be working so well. It's a beauty. So, let's hop into the next game, and I hope, please don't let it crash. I'm going to run this at normal speed. I was sent this game by Nightcat, and Nightcat has been working on a bot, and it's called Big Game Hunter's bot. I don't know which one it is, but he apparently got a hugely powerful computer to run an 8-player free-for-all or melee, I don't know, a game of Brute YI. So I don't know which bot these are. I can assume this is purple. But we've got all races, and I hope that OpenBW can really deal with this, because this is a hard game to run. And Nightcat said he had huge troubles running this, although he's got a beast of a PC, which I can well imagine, because each of these bots do generally get a 1-core processor, virtual or no, 2.5 gigahertz with about 4 gigabytes of RAM. So if you run 8 of them, you can expect quite a few hiccups, or to use a lot of power. This might be iron, because it's doing a nice wall-off. Could also be ice, I don't know. This could be any Zerg bot starting off on one base. This could be any Terran, this could be any Protoss, and we'll just go and have to see. Purple Wave, yeah, looks like it, with a quick core, might be it. Expansion might be Killerbot with 6 Zerglings going for the kill on this poor Zealot. And I think that this Protoss may well hold, yeah, with the probes coming off the line. Some probe damage may be suffered, it will be weakened a little bit, but the last Zergling thinks the better of it, runs off and gets killed eventually. Now this Terran is going to set up stuff. Let's try and cast this and not go insane. So this Terran has gotten its wall up, and I really like to ask TSMU and In42 to implement some kind of a naming feature where I can get a screen, at least know which bot is which. Purple Wave suffering 2 Zealots from the Big Game Hunter bot, and of course that can be a project as well, just make a bot for Big Game Hunters. It seems to be doing quite well, killing off most of the probes in the base of Purple Waves. Now Purple Waves bring it back with 2 goons, having set back in workers, only 7 workers, and Big Game Hunter bot doing quite well with 23 and an army supply of 12, mostly Zealots. So this Terran going for some kind of bio army, this Zerg going for lots of Zerglings, might be Garmbot by the looks of it. Of course, one thing that should be noted is that Big Game Hunters tends to confuse bots a lot, because oh damn, the Zerg got killed and I missed it, sorry. I'll try and keep the big lines of this game story going. Because the money is virtually unlimited. It's 25,000 minerals in a patch compared to 15 normally, and the expansions are in no non-logical position, so it's hard for a bot to recognize this as an expansion, and the asymmetrical thing of this map also makes it hard, because if you want to take an expansion as this player, you've either got to take that one, which you are in the lap of this player here, and if you are this player, you have got access to this perfectly well defendable expansion here. If you defend it here, you can also harass there and shoot at that. So it's more for fun that it's being played in a human... oh dear, I missed that again. So that's just a lot of Zerglings. Might be TSMU. TSMU Zerg, I think, is doing exactly that, just building a lot of lings and killing stuff with it. So that's one player less, and I think that will work wonders. Oh, and Purple Wave has killed this Zerg, which... I don't know which one it is. So, ooh, the Zerglings come in from all angles, but there are Marines and Medics, and I think this Terran, which may be Crazio, perhaps. No, Crazio does less Marines and medics. Could be TSMU Terran, I don't really know. I'd like to, but I don't. And a lot of links dying. So TSMU has gained dominance of this bit of the map. Purple Wave taking one out here. And this Terran is not really building anything, just sitting back. Apparently that's something that big game hunters can do to you as well. It can just confuse you, mess up your build. And now Purple Wave is losing a lot of units here to big game hunter bot by Nightcat. With the interesting building placement, and you can see that this is pretty much designed for big game hunters. Lots of probes, very high saturation. If you look at the SCVs here, the saturation isn't nearly as high because some bots have been coded after a certain point reached in workers to take another base, and this saturation looks a lot like a bot which has been specifically designed for big game hunters. All the Zerglings but one have meanwhile been killed here by this Terran bot. Purple Wave looks to be on its way out, and big game hunter bot doing well. Of course we've got an expansion here, but no mining is going on, I don't know why. And Marines meanwhile are being built here, so it's, yeah, what shall we say. Meanwhile this Zerg bot has stalled as well, no more units being built at all. This Terran bot is still building Marines but not really attacking, now also attacking up. Stimming might perhaps kill this base here. And you can see the game falling apart. Either it could also be that the replay is getting corrupted, because it's very hard for any game to keep up with bots which can do 50k APM to keep the integrity of the replay going while playing. If you've got 8 bots doing 20k on average, you've got 160k APM, and that's a lot of actions per second to keep track of. Meanwhile, big game hunter bot seems to have things well under control and going for the storm with a portion of its units. Terran doing okay, but not really all that well. Building here has stopped, and the bunker going down. So big game hunter bot being efficient at killing things. Building placement could be a little bit better. And all the units popping out here and there, not really being forced into the attack. Zerg still stalled, Terran still stalled, and Protoss seems to have stalled as well. Oh, White Terran is taking off and taking over this base as well. Long distance mining from here to there, God knows why. Big Game Hunters bot has stalled, and that was the game. Okay. Fortunately, I got sent another one with the remark that it was better than the first one. And perhaps, oh, we've got Marion Diveka as Killerbot. Hey, hello Killerbot. And we've got bwapi as the brown Protoss, and all the other players are not named. So, yeah, what can you do? Killerbot taking a quick expansion, and one worker being chased by 3 races of Zerglings. Protoss here under attack, and Killerbot going for, I hope, some lings, because this Protoss doing way too much damage. Suffering some damage itself too, but not really being stopped at all. Just more workers being built, and now it got attacked again by 2 Zerglings, but not really all that efficient. No defensive structure. And what's happening here? Lots of Zerglings setting up shop in the face of this Terran. This Protoss is going for scouts or carriers, might be Ximp, which may be nice to have Ximp, but of course there are no cannons. And as you can see, 2 geysers being built, but no mining going on. 2 cores, and it's just the map that is messing up these bots' build orders, because it's, for some reason, if they don't recognize the map, they go off into all kinds of strange directions, and it's just a mess. More Sunkens being built, couple of units. Yep, there we are. What is this? Could be Mericadic, could be anything really. Killerbot, of which we now know the name, is going to lose a lot of units because the Sunkens are in the front or in the choke. And of course Sunkens are not all that powerful, and now with a Reaver, bwapi is doing quite well and winning over dominance of this part of the map. I should be able to detect which bot is... what's the name again? Big Game Hunter Bot. Oh, Big Game Hunter Bot's not there. Either it's not playing as Protoss this time. It might be this Terran, because usually even... Oh, it's Corsair. Yeah, I think that this is Killerbot. It's now mining gas. It's building all kinds of stuff. It's also building... No, that's not Killerbot. It's really hard to say. Meanwhile, bwapi going... What the hell is that? Killerbot trying to build a lot of hatcheries, I think they are. But bwapi is all over it, and now with the Reavers also going to kill these Sunkens pretty quickly, I suppose. Oh, and this Terran is being gangbanged by another Terran, and I saw some Zerg units earlier, so this purple Terran is doing a lot of damage. Which purple Terran is building... Oh, and that Terran leaves the game, turns blue. This blue Zerg is still here, it's grown catatonic, not really doing anything, and now being assaulted by this red... what's it called? Protoss, hello! I also get distracted by the map and having to cast such a lot of things. So bwapi shuts down Killerbot, that's a clear kill, and I hope the game won't end if it's... No, it's not in the game, but the game doesn't crash, that's good. bwapi now will have to defend the onslaught of this purple Terran. Of course, red Zealots and green Mutalisks come off to help too. We've got a High Templar, which may do a storm on this bunch of Mutas soon, or save it for some later date. This poor Reaver seems to have been caught with its crawlers, its blades down, and it's cornered and killed. But all in all, bwapi seems to be faring quite well. Also this Protoss, of which I don't know the name, could be Mcgrave, for all I know, because it's one of the more modern Protoss which don't really... Modern bots don't really crash as much. Oh, and there goes a huge exodus of Marine Medic from this purple Terran. I think this is the Big Game Hunter bot. Ooh, and that was a really ugly... That was a really ugly storm, but now all the units get caught and killed. And bwapi in a bit of a problem, because this is just so huge. Although a substantial amount got killed, it's a huge amount of units. And we've got a Templar. It might have one Storm. Which it's going to need, because there are such a lot of angry Stim Marines out there. And Storm! No, Riva! Storm! Yeah, and that's the... that's how you do Protoss versus Bio. Just Storm them and Reaver them. Quest for Dominance. This Zerg has to be counted out. This Zerg is still in there somehow. This Protoss has got good cards, and this Terran has got some decent cards as well, just macroing up a huge army of Marines and then trying to kill all of the base. Oh, we are in Diablo territory again. Sorry, let me reload that music for... what's this game again? StarCraft, Brood War. Okay, there we go. So Protoss on the warpath going to meet the Terran army, and Protoss moving back because it gets attacked by a couple of Zergans. Hey, Blue has restarted. Very well done, Blue, but where can you go? Because there is a hugely aggressive Terran Protoss in the area trying to deal damage. This Zerg is still in there somehow, but it's getting harassed by two Zealots dropped by bwapi. bwapi doing well, taking an expansion. Has got the high-tech units, and with two bases perhaps I think it can really turn on the unit production, because with all these units being killed earlier, it lacks an army. It's got the infrastructure, it's got the technology, and it will have the income again soon too. And this Zerg is trying to do what it can of one base with paltry worker saturation. I think that the... oh, it's good that this red Corsair is here, because no anti-air from bwapi at the moment. Two Dark High Templars, they are called. And that's pretty solid, defending your expansion. Just a couple of cannons, you won't get killed by the odd Muta incursion. And now with storms... Oh, look at that! I like to see that. I like to see that. This is such a huge Terran army, but it gets clobbered so hard by the storms and the Reavers. It's absolutely beautiful, and the question is how this game will E or devolve. I do not know at this point, but we're going to find. Oh, and that is the most satisfying storm I had. Oh, and another one, and the Reavers. and just stick him in the meat grinder. Please, come and have more. Yep, there we go. Only a handful of bio left, and one storm finishes it. A couple of Archons being morphed, and that was the entire Terran push. A couple of stragglers here, but that's pretty much it. And Bwapi taken over the map. I hope it hasn't got too many probes. A couple of them get killed. That's good, because you also need a large standing army. And it seems to be a game between Bwapi and that red Protoss, of which I don't know the name. Might be Purple Wave or Mcgrave. And it's going to be a huge PvP with the occasional Terran incursion of a lot of Marines. So for the time being, red holding its ground with the home advantage. A couple of Reavers doing lots and lots of damage, but these goons eventually will kill it off. A couple of them may die, and that is... oh, now... nice cloaked High Templars. Are they going to storm, or will they only storm Marines? That's a ballsy setup. This Arbiter, oh, it catches two of its own Templar, that's always nice. Storm goes off pretty well, could do with another, but I don't know what the rationale is for storming, or the logic for storming. And both of these Protoss now have got almost infinite money and infinite production. I think this Zerg is going to be killed eventually, because this Terran, this Protoss is building in a nice concave around its own base. Oh, there we go. Now we've got two Arbiters, we've got a Storm, we've got one good Storm coming too, I think. This Templar may have Storm, that one may have it. And these Marines are just attacking into the mouth of hell at this moment. The Reavers aren't firing. Oh, there's the Storm. I think that the red Protoss is being helped a little bit by this last Marine push, with all the Reavers and the Templar shut it down so hard. Hello, you're dead. Bang. And Bwapi at the same time is tackling this Zerg, and also this Zerg is shut down. The red Protoss is shutting down this Zerg, so the Zerg will be out of this game pretty quickly, and then it will be a game of Empire between these two magnificent Protoss. And the brown Protoss has such an arsenal, but the red Protoss cannot be discounted with the goons. And I think, yeah, they should be stormed more. Look at all the Templars. We've got about 5 or 6 Templar, which will be morphed into Archons, soaking up lots and lots of damage. And it's a pity I can't really see the supply of this red Protoss, but Bwapi is maxed, got a bit of a bank, it's got all the production it could ever want. None of it at the expansion, so the main is pretty vulnerable, but taking down this Zerg, which has no workers left. And this Zerg is still here for some reason. Won't be long. And now, ooh, that's a bit of a miss. But that Reaver army is doing so much damage, and I really doubt that red can get that critical mass again. But it seems like this Terran Death Train is dying. Well, it's not only dying, but it's supporting red by coming at purple Bwapi from another angle. And look at these medics and the armor doing work. These Marines are standing in the storm for so long despite being stimmed. This scout is going to go down, but all in all, this is over. And now the Bwapi Death Train is advancing upon red again, once more. And all the Arbiters and all the Reavers and all the Storm, that is just an uphill battle I wouldn't like to face. Bwapi might also be one of the candidates for a good placement in either CIG or AWIDE or this tournament, which of course will be held, CIG and AWIDE will be held in summer, and of course we will be starting from Christmas again this year. But it is grown to be so powerful, it's actually fighting, it's not harassing too much, it's just macroing in your face, hard up fighting, taking the right battles. And there is another wave of Terran units coming, and most of the Protoss units are out here fighting, so perhaps some damage may be done this time to this expansion by this lot of Marines. But with a good Storm or two, have we got one more good Storm? Yep, there we go. A couple of units coming back, couple of cannons, Archon coming off, and a couple of Zealots, so this is that. Oh, and now they're going back, all are going back. The blue Zerg seems to be about to be shut down. And I think that, yep, there we go. Goon dead, blue Zerg dead as well. Yep, there we go, it stalls, it's not doing anything anymore. And red, oh that's cruel, nice stasis in the middle of your base, could stasis the workers as well. Red Protoss seems to have lost traction because it's stuck on one base, and there are, not to mention, a lot of brown B-Reaver units in there. B-Reaver taking the entire map, splitting its workers. Well, most of the bases have been taken and have got no workers. We've got 1, 2, 3 bases with workers, and the other bases have got no workers at all. Just a hell of a lot of buildings. Look at all the production it's got. It's not maxed, I don't know why. It could build, it could replenish everything, or perhaps it wants to build specific kind of units which it hasn't got production capability for. This base taking a little bit of damage again, but not as much. And now it's a bit of a stalemate, because B-Reaver doesn't seem to be rebuilding for the time being. I don't know why. Red Protoss isn't rebuilding either, it seems. Oh yeah, well here comes B-Reaver again, very slowly, cautiously, taking a couple of losses here. Terran meanwhile is just producing wave after wave of units and slowly sending them off to attack if they are going to. That's going to be a huge wave this time though. Might even be a maxed wave if it ever goes on the warpath. And the question is, who will get the initiative? Because B-Reaver seems to have stalled. I don't know why. A couple of medic and marines are moving out, but the main army is sitting back at home, and I think seeing as not only the barracks have stopped flashing. What's this? I don't know. Oh, this Protoss has left the game for some reason. Zerg's still in there, it hasn't got any units, but it hasn't quit yet. And B-Reaver just taking bases, but not. Oh, it's slowly replenishing its army supply. It's at 171. It's got a lot of high-tech units with a lot of energy. We've got 1 arbiter and 170 supply, so I think this game is going to time out. Yeah. That's it, this Terran leaving the game for some reason. Perhaps the connection between the virtual machines running this beautiful 8-player free-for-all. Nightcat, thank you very much for doing that. And B-Reaver wins on points and money banked. And because it was just very dominant during the game. So, last game for today. It has been a bit of a long broadcast, and I like that. It's a beautiful sport, brutal AI, and all the coders have been working very hard. The bots have been doing silly things. In the Netherlands at least the sun has been shining, so I think I could be content with this week's harvest. We have got the number 1 Ironbot versus the number 2 Crazio, and Ironbot we saw earlier play one beautiful game and another game wall itself in. The question is what it's going to do this time, and it seems to have gotten Crazio not contained, because Crazio's got the bunkers, got the vulture, and going for a wraith. Iron going for quick expansion as always, and a soft contain. Crazio a bit late with the expansion, a little bit later than Iron. Iron with the turret already, spotted the wraith, and of course Crazio didn't do anything with the wraiths, so that's a bit of a loss, I'd say, because it's a lot of tech, and if you're not going to get at least a couple of SCV kills, it is going to be a bit of a mess. Now chasing a couple of vultures here and there, but there is the first Goliath for Iron. Why I'm ending with this game, the broadcast, is because Iron has been the top dog for forever, and Crazio has been the number 2 for forever, and then you get a lot of bots in the midfield, so to speak, mid-tier bots. Ooh, Iron, nice grab of that tank. And as you can see, Iron slowly but surely, the supplies are equal, but Crazio is contained while Iron has the map, and that is something. Crazio pushing a little bit, repairing the tanks, had learned that from Iron, but only 2 tanks out there, which will be stormed eventually and kill. If you have got the map, you must expand. If you haven't got the map, you must do other things. Crazio now going for some kind of a push with a couple of tanks and a lot of SCVs. I didn't see that coming. I did see that Crazio had an update, so I thought, well, let's grab a nice game of Crazio versus Iron and see how it goes. lots of tanks, lots of SCVs, and now Crazio has got iron where it hurts. It's got iron contained. That's very good. Iron, of course, is starting the third, which is good. Crazio hasn't got the hasn't really got the stamina to support this push. Then, of course, iron is counter-containing Crazio here, perhaps a couple of tanks, and I really think that this would be one of the times where high ground unit use might be so useful. Crazio should just turn the thumb screws a little bit faster because iron can still get out here. Crazio is now moving back to base, trying to crush the contain here, and all this time iron has been getting ahead by virtue of its third, and because it's just a little bit more efficient in engagement. Crazio started with wraiths, didn't do anything with them. Iron's got wraiths, and always trying to find an angle to get a couple of shots off on this tank, and that's just... Although there is a Goliath here, it keeps trying to find a nook or a cranny where it can do a little bit of damage, and that still is Iron's main strength. It just, if you let it out of the box, it will try to grab an advantage. Now it's got the room to maneuver, it's taking a fourth. Crazio being a little bit more defensive, losing hit points on buildings which you've got to replace, and I'm just running away with it. Worker-wise, of course, Crazio hasn't only got 2 bases, so for 2 bases the saturation is okay. But Iron now has gotten the 4th up, and that's just going to snowball and snowball, and these wraiths could do a little bit of damage here, try to do damage there, just be obnoxious. And I received an update, and Igor Dimitrievich, the author of Ironbot, wrote to me, and he said, well, one of the things I'm going to pursue is large-scale drops, because in these, well, he didn't say because, but I think you've got this kind of a stalemate in Root War AI TVT, where the tanks just shut it down. You've got one tank line here, one tank line there, you've got the defender's advantage, and even if you have got double the economy, it's still suicide to attack into a well-fortified tank position. So ideally what you would do, and Iron is now trying to out-harass Crazio, it's doing a pretty good job at that, just trying to contain it over here. Crazio taking a base, but it's not safe, there are vultures out there already. What you'd like to do is, for example, take this point here. If you got the high ground, you could do a lot of damage to this choke. It would be incrementally harder for a Terran on the low ground to attack up to there. Or you could just ferry a couple of tanks in here, a couple of vultures, position tanks here, do a line of mines there, and just do a lot of damage to the infrastructure. And then you'd have the defender's advantage, because you'd have as a defender to ferry tanks over or just attack into static tanks, and it would be a bit of a mess. Now it's harder to decide the victory, because Crazio has now gotten the siege tank screen up here pretty well. Supply-wise it's pretty behind, but it's gotten a third, and it also has this in-base mineral expansion as well. So for the time being, Crazio is doing okay. It's at 157 supply versus 200. Ironbot's still harassing, but these tanks are just too good for Iron to attack into, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. Crazio now gaining in supply. Ironbot really can't get anything done. It can't build more units than 200, and Crazio just sitting back behind the tanks. If it's got the air cover, it can occasionally snip the odd vulture or the Goliath which sticks its nose out too far, give it a rap on the nose, or give it a rap on the tail by these siege tanks. And with Goliaths keeping their distance with the tanks, this slow pushing war is very hard to attack. Crazio was 60 supply behind, now is catching up in supply to Ironbot. Next question of course will be, well, what do you do then, because you've still got this war of iron sitting out there, but it is a sign that these bots are approaching one another, and still, as you can see, iron is now falling in supply a little bit. It hasn't really got the production, and Crazio is killing stuff with this leapfrogging wall of siege tanks and Goliaths, which is doing pretty well. So that's nice to see, and Crazio taking another base, and we get a sort of an equilibrium like in human TVT. Of course, Iron's got the bigger bank, but it really can't do anything with that. Crazio is fighting with what it's got, and if you played TVT well, you can basically split the map and then it will come down to other things. So in the end, if this continues, and if these players continue to split the map, I think Iron will come out ahead because it's got the middle, it's got more bases, it has been mining for longer, and if it's taken more bases, that's our bases which Crazio can't mine from, and Iron already has got the superior supply. Oh, it's got no anti-air. It's got no anti-air and no air cover, so that's the reason I think why Crazio is so successful in this large push. It's almost like watching a World War II tank battle, because there are just so many tanks now with the defensive matrix and the one Wraith overhead. Also in human TVT, what can be done in situations like this, and look at that, Iron's supply is not as high as Crazio's. Crazio's banking money too. What's happening in human TVT is that you either try a hard Wraith switch, so you keep pushing or defending with the tanks and Goliaths, and behind that try to get up 20-30 Wraiths, kill off all the anti-air of the enemy and kill a lot of its tanks, or go battle cruiser. I think that Brute by Eye TVT might be going in the same direction, because Crazio's got the better air cover at this moment, and that's just costing Iron a lot of supply. Then again, Iron's got the base, but Crazio has been expanding all over the map, is doing quite well, worker numbers are okay, Crazio's max too. So at this point it's just a huge standoff, and it's the question which bot has got the better staying power. It's just one big war of attrition, and this OpenBW project by TSMU and Im42 is so beautiful. I can't cast this in HD. But if this TVT gets any better, I'll need to cast it in 1080p, because it's the theatre of war is just growing so big, and these huge battles are really going out of control. As you can see, I am now gaining an advantage because Crazio hasn't got the money to replenish anymore, and Iron is harassing here as well. So Crazio needs to defend, and you can see that Iron is has got this incursion thing going. These two tanks seem to defend this quite well, but Iron is just doing damage. It's got the major bank, and Crazio is just struggling at this moment to defend at all points at once. And now this bit of tanks is moving into Iron, and if it goes up to here, it can cut off all production of Iron, which is located here, and not very much. Oh, we've got a small factory encampment here, but this blob is perched to move into here, because as these tanks will move forward, it means that these tanks, yeah, there they go, can move downward a little bit, and then Crazio gets contained again. This is really high level TVT, and it's so beautiful to see these AIs play such a long drawn out game. It seems like Iron is gaining the advantage though, because although Crazio is doing well with the push gets surrounded. We've got this wall of tanks which is just moving back, moving forward, moving back, and this wall of tanks is attacking the choke of the natural, and Crazio now falling in supply. It can't really replenish as well anymore, and the siege tanks of Iron are attacking the infrastructure. Of course there is a silo, but if you don't use the nukes, that would be such a beautiful play. Just let it in here and nuke that bit. It would be so cost efficient to use nukes in this kind of situation. And also Crazio is mining out a little bit. This base is nearly empty. Of course it's mining here, it's mining there, but mining wise Iron could do with a couple of more bases too, because Iron is mined out as well, but it's got this enormous bank. And of course you can still mine 2 gas from a depleted Vespene Geyser. What am I saying? This broadcast has gone on way too long, but this is a really beautiful game between the number 1 Iron and number 2 Crazio. And Crazio is fighting for what is worth. It's so very vicious with the tanks, with the vultures, with the air cover. It's just that Iron is all over it, and Iron with the generics scripts that will let it harass everywhere. It's got such a good movement. It's just inching ever so slowly into enemy territory and harassing all across the map. Crazio going, I think, to collect a unit all there, but as you can see, Crazio is running out of steam. It was maxed, it had a bit of a bank, but now Iron is in control again. Iron is still mining, might take another. Oh, all the bases are taken, and it can't take an island map. That may be a factor in TVT2, so if you can take an island map, you gain another 10k minerals, a lot of gas, so perhaps that time has come as well to be able to take island maps where it might be a decisive factor in TVT. as we saw, it was so close. Crazio fighting so very well, now at 40 supply, falling, and I really can't see Iron giving this away now with the SCVs doing a lot of damage to these buildings and all. And of course the main army. So that's the GG. Igor Dimitrievich, congratulations, you are still on top for almost a year now. It's so very, very beautiful. And Crazio, my sincere congratulations for getting your bot to be so good as well. I think Crazio just tapped out. That's the GG. This was the most beautiful game for me this week, although we had a lot of other beautiful games. A new bot again, Eric Hammer, and new bot Pinl. So the scene is growing in academia, it's thriving, and the bots are getting better and better. For now, I thank you very much for watching and listening. If you like what you see, come visit our website. It's in the lower right corner, Student StarCraft AI Tournament. You can watch these bots play 24/7. You can learn to play against them, and you can also learn to code AI yourself, which more and more people are doing, so that's great. Okay, so now shut up, I wish you well, and see you next week. Goodbye!